890 Adventure R before I start turning wrenches and turn it into my own machine. Why do we get excited by adventure bikes? I think there's an element of escapism that comes with adventure. Getting away from everything, getting away from your 9 to 5, getting away from the usual sights, sounds, and scenes of your neighborhood. Whatever that means to you, how you enhance that experience through the modifications of your motorcycle are, I think, what need to be your guiding star for this plan. How do you want the ride to feel for your experience and enjoyment? Let me start by saying I have always been a Honda guy. I grew up going down to Baja, riding three-wheelers in the sand, and when it was time for me to get my first motorcycle, there was nothing else other than a CRF. I wanted exactly what Johnny Campbell, Steve Hengeveld, and all those guys had been winning Baja on for countless years. I wanted to make this video as sort of a timestamp, a record in history as to how I experienced this motorcycle before doing a single modification to it. Of course, I have to leave my mark on this machine to make it my own and really enhance my enjoyability, but it's important, I think, to start with a baseline understanding. What are the strong points? What are the weak points of a motorcycle or any machine that you strive to make your own and modify? First and foremost, when I get on the 890, I forget that I'm not on my 450 dirt bike screaming through Baja. That's a great thing, but it's also something of a challenging thing. I have to remind myself I'm on a 450-pound adventure bike. Braking distances and just raw inertia coming into obstacles and corners is handled very differently. Despite having amazingly powerful brakes, big contact patch tires, and more horsepower than I ever know what to do with, the 890 really tracks along dirt roads as if it's a purebred dirt bike, not some sort of street machine lightly modified to handle some gravel roads. I like the aesthetics of the bike. Obviously, they've really gone for that rally bike look and feel with the low slung fuel tank, the aggressive front plastics mimicking sort of that Dakar fairing style, the windshield and cockpit layout. Originally, I was shopping for the Norden 901, but found after sitting on both the 890 and the Norden, the cockpit layout felt so much more open and expansive, looking over a windshield rather than through a windshield. I ultimately decided to go for the 890. What are the strong suits of the 890 in my personal experience? Well, obviously that low slung fuel tank definitely aids in the center of gravity. Having that weight down low definitely doesn't make the bike feel top heavy. Really thought I'd own an adventure motorcycle. I grew up riding in Baja, racing buggies in the desert, and I just kind of looked down on these things. But as KTM kind of ushered in an era of the performance adventure bike, that's what kind of caught my attention. I think the 990 Baja Edition was really what cemented race machine as adventure machine, and that speaks to me in a certain way. I plan to take my bone stock KTM 890 Adventure R and create my own version of Adventure R Baja Edition, as if KTM themselves had offered that as a factory package all the way up here in 2025, 2026. When it comes to modifying your adventure machine, your dirt bike, or your dual sport, I think there's a few different modifications that are really pivotal for enhancing rideability and user enjoyment. Number one, an exhaust. You may not need any more horsepower on these monster bikes. I know I sure don't. But the sound, the voice of the motorcycle can be really evocative, really enhances your riding pleasure. It gives you something to listen to other than just the wind roaring in your helmet. It can allow animals and other motorists know that you're approaching for your own safety, and it just sounds cool. Number two, a steering stabilizer. If you ride anywhere off-road, you should invest in a steering stabilizer. I've always used Scott's, and they are worth their weight in gold. Anodized aluminum gold, that is. But still, you hit gravelly tracks, deep sand, rocks, off-camber, that thing can save you for all sorts of head shake, dislodged handlebars, all kinds of things. So I definitely recommend that. Beyond those two pivotal modifications, the sky's the limit. Body protection, extra fuel range, auxiliary lighting, foot pegs, controls, all the rest is at your discretion. But I would say the two most transformative modifications to any off-road motorcycle are an exhaust and a steering stabilizer. What did you modify on your bike? Let me know in the comments what you think I'm missing out on. How should I transform this into the 890 Adventure R Baja Edition? What makes a Baja bike to me? Well, there's a couple different components to this. I think there's the technical bill of materials side where we talk about parts selection, but then there's an emotional side that speaks to where you want this machine to take you and how you want it to feel on that journey. I plan to start my Baja Edition modification journey with a one-off, new old stock Super Trap exhaust, custom TIG welded and made by me to suit the 890 Adventure R. That's a part that has never existed. I don't think anyone else on the planet ever has run a Super Trap exhaust on their KTM 890 Adventure bike, but I want to capture that feel of vintage Baja racing through the tone and the voice that my motorcycle emits. All in all, I'm very happy with my KTM 890 Adventure R in completely stock form. Every time I go out and ride it, I'm impressed at how it performs out of the box. Of course, I have to leave my mark on my own machine. I'm gonna have to make some modifications just to make this machine my own. But in general, I understand why all the reviewers basically call these bikes the top of the food chain when it comes to adventure motorcycling. So if you're interested in learning how to make your machine your own, stay tuned to Recce Routes and watch as I transform my KTM 890 Adventure R into what I'm calling the Baja Edition, as if KTM themselves had offered that package like they did for the 990 with the new 890. I hope you'll stick with us here at Recce Routes. Remember to find your own adventures and be prepared.